Colleagues, Coach, welcome to the preview press conference. If you can give us some thoughts on the preparations.
Maybe first, before I even go there, I would like to greet everyone again, because I might have missed someone. First, my sincere condolences to the Lucas Morepe family. I think he's one of the greatest legends in our country. It's important to acknowledge the big contribution that he had in our football, to lay a stage for people like us to have an opportunity to coach at this level. So as a club, we are sincerely touched by the situation, because he is an icon within our club, within our city, and it's important to pass our sincere condolences. With regard to the preparations for the match, I think in the absence of the best, I would say the preparations are going very well, because we don't have the whole squad in our match day -3 training session because of their involvement in the international activities. But we are not blaming anyone for that, because I don't think it's the coach's fault. I think it's just something that we must accept as it is, because there is nothing much we can do about it. So with the group that we have, I think the preparations have gone well. The players look eager and interested to take part in this important match, and I think everything is going according to plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. We'll take questions from the floor. Please remember to introduce yourselves. Can you take us?
Coach Katlego, mine is a two-part question. How do you look at your internationals that played? Are you happy that they've got legs minutes in the legs, or would you have maybe liked for them to be rested a bit more? Because I saw Peter started on the bench yesterday. Divine started for Zimbabwe. So how do you look at that situation?
It's just an unfortunate situation, to be honest, because I wouldn't want to blame their coaches and the national teams, because believe you me, if I was a national team coach, I would have used my best players yesterday, because you want to build on that winning momentum. You want to make sure that you don't start opening cracks within your team and people start to see some of your shortcomings when some of the players are not there. So it's something that is very difficult to ask of any coach to not use his team in an important fixture that is in front of so many people watching. So it is unfortunate, but personally, I would just say I think there is nothing wrong to play league matches after the FIFA break, because we've got maybe 3 days, 4 days after that. But it's just that a cup final immediately after the FIFA break, it's for me suicidal, and worse to a club like ours. But having said that, I'm not leveling this to the PSL, because the PSL did not know that Sundowns will be in the final of this competition, and I think the dates were brought up prior to us qualifying for the final. So it is just unfortunate that it happens to be us who are in that cup final. And I'm just thinking, if it was South Africa that was playing Cameroon yesterday, where Divine Lunga is, because Divine Lunga will only be back in the country on Thursday morning. And when would he train with the team and be able to play in a cup final? So based on that, I think in future it would be important just to try and avoid having a cup final or cup matches immediately after the FIFA break, because I think it causes unnecessary commotion. But like I said, the PSL in this case did not know Sundowns will be in the final, and we cannot blame them for us being in the final. But I'm just saying, for anyone else that would be in the final and having a lot of players in the national teams, and maybe Cameroon is an even better route, because if it was probably Morocco or something, you would come maybe to South Africa on Friday morning and you are playing a cup final on Saturday. It's just not ideal.
Coach, you're very consistent when your team either responded to 5-0 and you're demanding more in those games, saying that you could have scored more. So my question is two-pronged in that, what do you think is the challenge in South African football in general, in that we don't kill off teams? Like when teams go 2-0 up, sort of relax, and we don't get those heavy score lines when people are there for the taking. And how do you improve that and make sure that's the cycle of players?
Yeah, it requires a very big paradigm shift, because in our society we have accepted that after you have taken a lead, probably it's an opportunity for showboating and doing all these tricks, and it's acceptable in the society. Everybody thinks you have done enough when you have won the match and you have also had some nice tricks and made fools of the opponents. But personally, I regard opponents as opponents and as not as enemies. And as opponents, I always believe you want to beat your opponent so that next time he knows who are you, not as an enemy but as an opponent. No, I don't want to make a laughing stock of you. You'll see most of my players, they hardly do all these tricks after we've taken a lead, because I can substitute you immediately. Because for me, what excites me is to see the ball touching the net. I like that. And I've always been like that from time immemorial. I think the reason why I became a football coach is because I want to influence a team to try and create a lot of scoring opportunities and score a lot of goals. And I get excited when a game has got a lot of goals. No matter how good the game can be sometimes, because I've been in football for so many years where you can dominate the game and look so good, everybody's excited. You were leading 1-0, last minute the opponent scores, it's 1-1. And then what? So for me, goals are the determining factor on the result. And thus we should be targeting to make sure that we play to score as many goals. And if we say we are better than the opponent, it's because we can score more than them. I don't think possession is enough without creating a lot of scoring opportunities, because when you look at that possession, sometimes it's in all the wrong areas. You had so much possession because the opponents were sitting deep and you were playing in front of them and enjoying all the time having as many passes in front of them. But that does not mean you manage to break down their strategy that they had brought up to make sure that they don't concede a lot of goals. And when as a coach, you must say, what did I bring to try and make sure that even when they were trying to put a low block or whatever, I still managed to force my way and score as many goals as possible.
See at the break, and then the main.
Should be.
Have you been able to receive an update on Mbala? He picked up a knock, if I'm not mistaken, in the national team. And I just wanted to get your thoughts as well on the national team qualifying for AFCON, an unbeaten campaign and getting good results.
Yeah, we did get feedback on Motobi. Just an injury in the hand. It's not something that can take him out from playing in the final. And as for the national team qualifying for AFCON again, in such a very pleasing manner. I think I'm very excited, and any South African that would not be excited with what is happening with the national team now, there would be something wrong with that person. Because at the moment, I think we've reached a stage where we can be confident and brag about our national team, because they are really giving the nation exactly what the nation would have required from them. They are scoring goals, they are winning matches convincingly, and personally, I think I'm very excited with what the national team is doing and with what Coach Hugo Broos has also done, because I think he has faced a lot of criticism in the past when people did not understand what he was trying to do. But I think he has proven so many people wrong, and sometimes in life you must accept that it's God's way. You know, sometimes God, when He wants to put you in the podium, He does not want you to be at the podium and there is no spectators. But sometimes when you face all these trials and tribulations and people doubting the capacity of Hugo Broos, and when he does what he does, now everybody becomes the audience, and we must applaud the work that he has done with the team, because he's come from a position where not many people thought he would do so much, and it's exciting.
We'll take Dalmain. After that, we'll take the last 4 questions. Dalmain.
Coach, you guys here at Sundowns have something called a Pitch Side Podcast. I listened to it a few weeks ago, and Deco and Flombo were of the opinion that Sundowns in recent times possessed the fear factor where oftentimes matches would be won even before they step onto the field because of how well they were doing. And then what came out of there was that they don't feel this current Sundowns has that same fear factor. Now, in light of Saturday's game, I want to ask you, do you think that your team still has that fear factor where you instilled so much fear in teams even before you stepped onto the field?
If you have not had the podcast, maybe it's better to listen to it first.
Nobody can answer the question. Personally, I would not want to be feared before the fight. Personally, that's how I am, because you know, when you are fighting a coward and he's already scared of you, he will give you the biggest left hook you've never seen, because he does not want a comeback, because he's scared of you. But when people don't fear you, I think it's better for me, because it means they would not pull all stops to try and make sure that they stop you. But if you are not scared of a team that is capable of scoring 11 goals in 3 matches, then there's something wrong with you.
So we'll take Pasha as the last one. 1, 2, 3, 4 is coach. It's 6. The last hands that are up is the last hands we need to wrap up. Thank you. You can go ahead, Pasha. No, you still have Pasha, Mudiba, and yourself, David, Mshengu. Yes. Thank you. You can go ahead, Pasha.
Thank you, Karau Pasha, a freelancer. Coach, I think you're one of the few coaches in South African football over the last couple of months, maybe years as well, that you operated a high tactical vanguard as well. For you personally, coach, what keeps you going? What makes you, because I saw your video yesterday, enjoying yourself, possibly coming to training, but what keeps you going? Why do you want to get better each and every day? And I think another factor is that, you know, you have this demeanor of wanting and demanding more from your players. What exactly is it that keeps you going, wanting to get better for yourself, for the players as well?
The truth is, I think I have failed a lot in many things in my life. And the reason why I failed is because I've got one drive. And that has made me not to have a very balanced lifestyle. Because I'm one person who likes winning, and I've always thought winning is everything. And because I always want to put myself in the podium and win as much as I can. Possibly to try and follow to a certain extent my names, because they are a driving force as well. I want to conquer as much as I can. And I like it when I conquer and I'm not feared, because it means I can continuously conquer, So, but more than anything else, what has brought me to football, it's because there are things that I love in football. One of them is winning. And the second is goals. I like to see goals in football. Any form of goals, be it's a counter-attack, it's a set piece, it's a transition, I just like to see goals. And even as a young boy, when I go to the stadium, when people say, hey, it was a very good match, but it was 0-0, I was always on the other side, because I went to a match to see someone winning and to see goals. And I think that is always something that I've always had. And I like part of it, because I don't think I come out as a person that is arrogant, but I try the best I can to do what I can do with what I have.
Coach Katlego, again, just a quick one, just a word on, I think, Larsen. I think what adds to the spectacle is that you have two experienced local coaches, that are going to be going against each other. What have you made of him? He's not afraid to go down, come back with the team, and look at what he has done to get the team to the final.
I always have a lot of respect for coaches that have coached at almost all the levels of football. I always have a lot of respect for those coaches, because they are not talking about something they don't know. They have experienced it. There are a lot of people that have got so much to say in football, but they are so limited because they have not really experienced practically to coach in environments that may not have anything to support you, but you're still expected to bring the results. And Clinton, his journey is probably as close as possible to my journey in football. I think he has coached in almost all the levels in football. LFA football, development football, SAB League, ABC Motsepe League, NFD, and all these levels. And when he talks, I think I always listen, because I know it's coming from not just knowledge, but wisdom. So I have a lot of respect for that. And I'm going to this match with a coach that I know he's not sitting in his laurels. He's trying to find the best possible solutions to deal with what everybody thinks is a favorite. And he's always done very well. And I've shared these stories with the players, because I want them to know they are not playing just any other coach. When he was at Bloemfontein Celtics, I think it was in one of my first seasons here, he took us out of the MTN 8 with 5 goals, because we were too big and we thought we don't deserve to concede, and we went helter-skelter, opened, and he scored the second, he scored the third. By the time we realized, it was 5-0. And it's the same coach that has won this trophy, though it was called Telkom at that time, against Sundowns, with a Celtics team of John Mokhorosi and those guys. And we know the type of a coach we are playing against. And for me, these are usually the most difficult matches. I never leave any stone unturned when it comes to these matches, because where everybody expects you to win, for me, those are the most difficult matches to win. Because even when you win, it's a by the way. But when you lose, it's a spectacle. And that is the most important thing for me when we're playing matches like this. And I respect Clinton so much as a coach, because I know he may not have as much resources, but with the little bit that he has, he knows what it means to beat a favorite as an underdog. And I've been there many times as well.
No. Coach, you're going into CAF next week, and the Club World Cup that's also looming and the league continues. What would this win mean for you personally as well as the club?
I think this win for me will probably be the same as any other win that we've had in every match that we have played. Because I never want to downplay any match or to hype any match, because in football I've learned that you must just respect every match as it is, regardless whether it's a cup final, it's a friendly, it's what, because what you repeatedly do, you become. And good habits of winning every match help you to win against an underdog or a favorite or a big team or a small team. It's very important to develop habits of trying to win every match that you play, because it helps you not to always deal with issues, whether they are extrinsic or intrinsic in terms of motivation. You must just fight to win the match that is in front of you. And I think that helps, because that habit will also help us to go into a Champions League match with a little bit more maybe confidence, a little bit more desire, and maybe a little bit more in terms of having developed that winning mentality and pushed to a level of even winning a cup match or a cup final.
Coach, how do you plan against such a team such as Magesi? I mean, relatively new. I mean, they've only played like 6 games onto the league and 3 games in the cup. How do you plan around that? And also, you word on Ronald Williams getting his 50th cap, more so that he has gotten his 50th cap following Temba's.
Maybe let me start on the 50th. I was so excited for him because besides being a very good goalkeeper, I think he's a very good human being. I think he's an ideal athlete, maybe an epitome of a good athlete and a good leader. For him to go that far with all the injuries that he has had in his career at his young age, because Ronwin has had a lot of injuries that have always tried to destabilize his career. The shoulder has been coming in and out, and the knee. He's had all these things that maybe if it was somebody else, he would have said, let me leave this thing is too much. And maybe leave even before joining a club like Sundowns. And for him to go all the way he has done, and cement his place in the national team the way he has done, cement his play in his place in the team the way he has done, I think it's something that a whole lot of youngsters should try and learn from. And it is also iconic to have players from the same club following each other like that in terms of getting to the 50th cap. But I still believe he can make 100, and I'll be happier when he gets to more than 100. Going into the Magesi team, because I respect every opponent, and I'm always scared of the opponents that are not favored. I'm always scared of those because they always pull surprises. So I try to dig as deep as I can and look at each and every individual and know their team probably more than I know my team sometimes. Because as it is now, I can tell you the starting 11 and the potential substitutes and everything that they can play in this match. And I know how difficult it's going to be to deal with that Manqoba up front. I know Diolin Mekua is going to be causing a lot of problem with his left foot. Dapo is a big problem in the midfield because he breaks down most of attacks. They've got Mashiko on the right, who is running for every ball and very instrumental even assisting them defensively. They've got an Abrahams as a right back who I think is one of the most influential and underrated players in the PSL. I saw him even last year when we played against Tuks. He was very influential as an offensive player, but now he's playing as a right back. They've got Chiramandare, who is very lazy. on the left, but very dangerous offensively because when he comes out, he's a very important player offensively for them. So I think he reserves the energy for that because he's very influential offensively. And in their back four, you've got a Mokone on the side, on the left, and another Mokone as a right centre back. You've got a Chipezeze who is a very good goalkeeper and he works very hard. He knows what he's doing. We know what to expect. And we just have to be focused and keep our levels of motivation at the right level because games like those are very difficult because you have to dig very deep. Like I said, if you win it, by the way. But if you lose it, you must know you are in the news. So it's a very tough game. I don't want to lie to you.
With your new system that you're playing, you obviously create more chances, more boxing moves, but you also obviously concede more chances. Are you wary that, for example, Magesi scored with 3 shots, 3 goals against Orlando Pirates? Are you wary of that going into this game? Will you maybe not be more cautious, but tweak a little things because you saw how clinical they can be? I mean, that was at Orlando Stadium.
You just have to respect every opponent. And in football, you will always have your short winter blanket. If you want to score more goals, something has to give. But it would be nice to watch a game where the other team scores 7, the other one scores 6. But if you know you can score 7 and win it, it's always better. But still, be that as it may, we know our rest defense has to be on point. We know our counter pressures should be on point, and we know our transition threats that we must always be worried about. Every time we're in possession, we must always know where is Chiramajare, where is Makubu, because those players are very important in transition. And Julian Mekoa sometimes playing in a double pivot scenario, but he's often found in offensive positions and it creates a lot of problems. Kakore also adds in that offensive threat of theirs. But I always say in football we must always do what we can do. If we can score as many goals to win the match, then let them score 1 maybe. But if you don't score any goal and they score 1, what will happen? So that short winter blanket is very important to understand that sometimes you have to do what you have to do to try and win the match. Not to say I want to now to how do I make sure that I guard against a counter-attack only, because I know their counter-attacking threat is there, but they will not have counter-attacks if I don't have the ball. So what am I doing with the ball if I'm not trying to attack them?
Coach, just looking at this game and also Magesi as well, I think the last time we had a rookie that went all the way to the final was Silver Stars, the days of the Coca-Cola Cup. What does this reflect about the state of the game in the country and also maybe even the competitiveness down there in the national first division? Because when you look, I think even in their squad, there's not more than 30% changes in terms of the personnel that they've made, and also we see a lot of even top flight teams scouting from that division.
It says we must be worried about our football because the gap between the NFD and the PSL is very small. Sometimes the gap between the ABC Motsepe League and the PSL can be very small. I've seen a lot of games, and I've seen sometimes I even say a lot of players in South Africa are overrated because when you look at them very closely, let me just give you a Magesi for an example. You look at that squad, it was their NFT squad. Yes, it has got a Mzava who has played in the PSL. It has got Julian Mekua who has played in the PSL. It has got a Tapo who has played in the PSL. It has got Makubu who has played in the PSL, and Shiramandare who has played in the PSL, and Echipezeze who has played in the PSL. But it's the team that they had in the NFT, like you are saying, and that is a very strong team. That is a very strong team that when I can bring you a big team and put it in front of you here and say man on man, one by one, look at this and look at this and say which of the two is stronger than the other. Then you will be surprised. I never thought a Magesi has got maybe stronger personnel than what I thought of all the other counterparts. So the reality in South African football is that we are not too worried about what happens technically. We are too concerned about everything else that is happening outside the pitch, and that is why we are not even bothered with the development of youngsters. And the teams that are working very hard on their developments, they are really showing their strength in the PSL, probably without much budgets. If you look at teams like Stellenbosch, they have been able to hold their own in the PSL without spending so much. You look at Cape Town City, they've done the same. How many players have they sold in the process? And you look at all these teams and you say, then what is the difference between smaller and bigger teams in the PSL? Probably we should try and invest a little bit more on our coaching, on our coaches, and maybe employing more people that can add value technically in the game. There are many teams that have got, maybe the administration staff is 3 times more than the technical staff. But it's a football game. We are football clubs. We must make sure that technically we leave no stone unturned. And I don't think most teams in the country are spending a lot of money technically. They are spending a lot of money in everything else that is around football. And that is going to be detrimental to many teams, because a lot of big things are still going to happen in the country where you will see big teams fighting for relegation, and you'll start saying, what is happening? Because the gap is very small. And maybe the teams that are at the bottom are working harder, because that's another issue, because in South Africa there are also a lot of players that have got this entitlement that they are playing in the PSL, but they are not working hard enough for their salaries and to sustain their jobs within the PSL teams. So there are many things that you can look at, but believe me, we have a lot of work to do.
I'm looking at this about what the teams are doing and all of that, but from the fan side. You went to FNB and played in front of a capacity crowd of 90,000 fans, and beat Kaizer Chiefs. You come to the final, and there's that trolling that Sundowns fans don't attend games. What does it mean for you? Even now with one of your players, it surfaced that it was a Twitter trend and all of that. What does it say to you, coach, knowing very well that you've rightfully said that the technical team is there, you've got all the resources, but the fans on some of the games, they don't come to the party and match the standard of the other big teams that they claim to be?
First, on that tweet of the player, I want to urge you guys, do not be sensational and create stories out of nothing. You are the custodians of football as journalists. So you don't want to create negative connotations between players and their clubs unnecessarily. Because the question was, playing in a capacity crowd with Bafana, with the national team. And we know in the past the national team hardly had as many spectators as they are having now. But because some of you are very irresponsible, You just want to create sensationalism out of nothing. And the poor boy now must be expected to explain himself, why did I say this, why did I say this? When an adult decides to write a story that suits him and does not care about what would happen when even our supporters get to hear that he said this, because they don't know the context, they don't know the question, and that for me is irresponsible journalism from you. And that really we must try to root it out. And as for the support that you are questioning, the Yellow Nation, we have not complained as Sundowns about our supporters. We are very happy, and we know they will be there, and whatever amount is enough to make us win the match. We always want to have those who can afford, because the climate economically is not very good. It's not easy for everyone to attend matches everywhere in the country, because financially people are constrained. So it is important to also accept that reality, that sometimes people don't go to the stadiums not because they don't want to be there, but because they don't have the resources to be there. Because to come to Bloemfontein as somebody from Pretoria who is not working, because people are not working, sometimes it's very difficult. But I'm very confident we will have a very good crowd in Bloemfontein. From our Yellow Nation, they have never let us down, and they want us to win this one. So I'm very confident they will come in numbers. Wait and see.
Thank you, Coach.